Hey man, thanks for joining us on the show. How are you tonight on this sudden evening?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad it's in hoodie weather. I've waited since November last year to put my Mind Snare hoodie out, and yeah,
Is
stoked
that
up.
a new one or is that an old one?
It's new, but I bought it at the shows they played in October last year, so it hasn't been cold enough to wear it until now.
Is it perfect? Yeah, I took the dog for a walk before, and when it's real cold, I should have put long pants on. I'm like walking it like this and wearing a, I'm not a fan of winter, but at least you can wear your cool hoodies, in
Yeah.
this. Yeah, but yeah, man. I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while, but I
Yep.
guess we were meant to do this in person, but then I got the monkey flu AIDS thing that's going around right now, and I didn't want to share it. I did want to give it to you,
That's
because
I'm busy. I got a lot going on, so I can't afford to get sick.
that's right. That's right. I'm not that kind of dude who just because I hate it. I hate it when people do that. They're just like, and you're like, nah, man. Especially being a singer or something, as it happens. But I appreciate you hanging out, especially over the Zooms, and you're just down the road, so it's okay. But it's one of those ones where you've done so much stuff that I was sitting here going, now what's a good kickoff point? Because it's like, where do we start? Like, you've got so much going on at once that it's like, oh, he's got the festival, he's got the bands, he's got the studio, he's got. So I guess let's let's kick off with the studio, of course,
Sure.
Black Blood Audio, which is where you are now, down the road.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is it here.
it's looking good, dude.
I got my Homer Simpson homepage, holding it down. Yeah.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Because you recently moved to that. Well, I think it was a little while ago, wasn't it? Now that you moved there,
Yeah.
New York City.
Yeah. I used to have a studio in Brisbane on the south side, and I built it in underneath the house, which we had to move out of because they were gonna sell it, and it just it worked out perfectly. Just so happened that Paul had the room available here, and I was able to move all my gear, just like take everything apart and put it into these rooms here, and set it all up again within a matter of weeks, and it was pretty painless, honestly, and it saved me a lot of stress because I think if I had to rent the storage space and have everything put away, it would take a lot more energy to unpack it all and set it up again. And finding a new place is always really difficult when you need a space where you can make a lot of noise and all the things that come along with having a studio. So yeah, really, really grateful that it worked out the way it did. The the locals, like every other hardcore band from the Gold Coast already jams here, and I know all of half of them already. So it's great. It's just friends popping in, saying good day all the time, and everyone. I don't have her here tonight, but Yuki's usually here with me, so everyone likes to pop and give her a pat and say good day.
The mascot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the studio mascot. Yeah,
That's man, it's funny how things work out like that. I think I was talking to you just before the move, and you were saying how you had to pack it down. I felt really, my heart went out to you because I know how much you put into it. I never got a chance to go up to that studio. But you were there for a number of years, right? Like, how long were you there?
yeah. I built it in 2019, and we were there up until about September 2023.
Hmm.
So I got a good run out of it. We did a Descent album there. We did a Resin Tomb album there. We did, yeah. Well, I managed to squeeze in as much as I could, and it was kind of good at the end when I put the call out and just said, "Hey, everyone, I'm losing this space. So if you want to do some stuff, now's the time." And I'm just starting to put out some of those projects that we really cranked through in the last few months there, where it was just like, look, I know it's not finished, but let's just record it because I don't know when I'm going to be able to again. And it's really cool going back and comparing things to those older sessions and stuff. So yeah, it is sad, but moving on, bigger and better things. It was the way it had to go, I guess.
Where were you before that? Where were you recording before that?
My old studio.
Yeah, like before yeah. Did you have a studio before that? Or you just you in renting spaces?
Yeah, it was another. sort of temporary setup where I'd built an enclosed room sealed with inside a garage of a house that I was renting. So it was a lot of work to sort of just build a room that didn't do any damage or obstruct the house that we were renting,
Mm.
but then have that isolated and sort of room within a room, as they say. So it was somewhat soundproof. And yeah, that house got demolished as well. I just seem everywhere I live seems to get demolished afterwards. So the the block ended up getting turned into a childcare center, I think. So I don't know. There's a lot of cool black metal projects and stuff that we did there. I hope there's some black metal vibes still kicking around somehow, but it's all
Actually,
small.
it was. All these kids are like,
Yeah.
coming home. You know, they do the face painting day, but they're coming home going in the corpse paint. Parents are like,
Yeah,
what's
I hope
going
there's
on?
it's got to be one little Damien that turns in just like, hey, give me some black and white. I want to look like kids or something.
Be the best. I think there's a video clip in that. But you've recorded like over 50 albums. And that which is a lot of hours in the studio,
Yeah.
man. Like, you know, that's that's crazy. I mean, do you have ones that you're particularly really proud of, or ones that were, I guess, a learning curve for you that got you where you are now?
Yeah, there's definitely a few that stand out. I mean, the last Descent album, I'm really proud of in particular because that was something where we were sort of making the best of a bad opportunity. Like we were lucky enough that we had my studio and just like I already lived with my drummer, so we could have technically we were allowed to have our other guitarists come over. We weren't breaking any rules and we were able to continue writing throughout the lockdown period in 2020 and all the rest. So that album is like a culmination of basically 2 years of hard work going into writing that. And then, something like that, you spend 1,000 hours listening to those songs, and it sort of takes you maybe 6 months to a year to step back and appreciate it again because you're almost borderline sick of your own songs.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
like
know, man. Becomes like white noise. You know, it's just
exactly.
yeah.
So it's cool now being able to reflect on some of those. I was really happy with how the Knuckle Dragger album turned out, and those guys are out playing shows and stuff now and doing it proud. So I'm stoked to see that one. And uh, oh man, there's so many now that you make me think about it. Um, the Malignant Aura record was a really good one that those guys kind of pushed me to work harder mixing to make a really massive dynamic album like that work in context with like HM2 saturated guitars, but then also really big peaks and valleys and things where you can't just have it balls to the wall constantly. So that was a really fun project. There's um, a band that we did briefly. Some friends of mine was called Feculent. It was one that I actually played drums on. Um, that was sort of like that came from just needing something to do to keep ourselves preoccupied in that time as well. So um, that pushed me to really like learn how to mix dense death metal where it's distorted bass and drums that don't really relent, and you've got to really carve out holes to be able to make the mix balance itself out. So that was a good learning curve as well. Um, and another one I'll mention is a band called Gudgeon from
Oh
the
yeah,
Sunshine
Sunny
Coast.
Coast. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, sick.
They're just a two piece, and it's bass and drums, and he does the vocals on the bass as well. But really funny pair of guys, and like they were super tight at what they did. So we recorded most of it live. It was sort of like the Steve Albini style, everyone in the room and just get the ambience and all that with it. And turned out really good. I was super happy with that one. I know it's not hardcore or metal or anything like that, but there's something there for everyone.
Man, that's sick. See, you have done quite a lot, man. And I think, look, there seems to be a lot going on in the current Southeast hardcore and deathcore scene that has come from your work or has been entangled in it in some way. And, you know, I've talked to a lot of bands like the Crave Death guys and Girl and a whole bunch of other people that see you as a base for it all, who has influenced a lot of people. Do you see that? Do you feel like you've played your part and really helped bands push forward and the scene push forward?
yeah, it's not a conscious like, oh, I'm gonna be that guy kind of thing. But I guess I've always thought like it's like a big pool, you know.
Mm,
People would look at Brisbane in the same way people speak about, the Gothenburg scene. You know what I mean? They go like, oh, all those bands are sick, blah blah blah, Gothenburg. Why not have it like Queensland or Brisbane or the Gold Coast or whatever be the same? Like instead of going like, oh, I've just worked out this awesome way to do something with a guitar, or I've developed this new style of playing that's like, oh, it's all mine. I'm gonna keep it to myself, not telling anyone about. Like, what's the point in that? If you fuck it up, who's who's gonna make the best out of it, sort of thing. Like, why not just spread all the secrets? Just don't let there be any secrets. Just like try to help everyone be the best that they possibly can, and it makes everyone seem like they're doing better off. People often mention like, oh, the Brisbane death metal scene or something like that.
mm.
It's not necessarily just like, oh, that band's killing it. They can tell like everyone's doing something sick. So I don't know. It's sort of more of a mindset than like an objective goal that I'm going to do something.
Something's definitely happening though, because I'm an old man. I don't know how old you are, but I'm a very old man, and I was there. You know,
I'm 30,
what's that? 32?
33.
33. Okay, yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you were kicking around when the old Music Mania days down the Gold Coast and the hardcore scene that was happening around there was really, really strong. And then just that everything sort of dipped a little bit, and it feels like it's really starting to pick up again, which is really fucking cool to see. We need that in Southeast Queensland. Where do you think it's going to be heading next, man? Do you think it's just going to keep getting stronger?
Well, I mean, everything goes in cycles, doesn't it?
Mm.
There's the resurgence in hardcore. What came after hardcore last time? Mellow Death.
Yeah, don't know.
We ready for Mellow Death?
Don't know. Maybe.
I,
I'm ready for
I,
it.
that's a good question. One thing I definitely notice now, meeting younger people in bands who come through the studio, is that they're not really focused on like we're going to be a black metal band or we're going to do specifically this type of sludge or something like that. People seem to have a wider variety of influences, and they're not so. Not that there's anything wrong with being like really into a specific subgenre, but people don't seem to be like, oh, I only listen to this. It just they open to everything, and
Mm.
that comes through in the music. When they come in to record stuff, they'll be like, oh yeah, there's an influence from another heavy band that's nowhere near what they're actually sort of pocketing, pigeoning, holding themselves in to be. It's more like a free for all of just taking whatever's cool, and I kind of like it because you could throw ideas at someone and they're never going to be like, oh no, we don't do that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not our
right.
thing.
It used to
It's
be like that. It definitely used to be that way for a little while. You know, there were the
Yeah.
pockets like the hardcore kids stuck there, the metalcore kids stuck over here, the old man death metal bands like me stand over here. Like, you know what I mean? It's just and it's definitely maybe it's a Spotify thing or the digital age where kids seem to be as you said, they're open to more genres and they're absorbing all that stuff and they're incorporating it.
And they're across the board too. I was really impressed with like just sort of naming bands that might be from 20, 30 years ago or something, and
Mm.
kids do their research. Like the younger guys, they don't want to have bands named to them and then be like, oh, I don't actually know anything about that. Like they go back and they listen to the older influences of the bands that they're listening to that are current now. It's good to see like it's not just a, oh yeah, we do the modern thing. We don't give a shit about the rest. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna go back and listen to Entombed and stuff because I see dudes at the shows wearing that, and it's all obviously got some relevance there.
Mm.
So
It's
good on
all
you, Till. Anyone who's 22 or under and you're listening to heaps of music, good shit. Keep it up.
That's going to be my little screen grab right there. That's good. I like that. No, but it's true. I mean, kudos to those kids because they could be doing all the electronic shit and, and these kids are starting to get back into that stuff. They're the next generation. They're playing instruments and stuff. It's cool, man.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm
Absolutely.
thinking it's the same young kids turning up to our death metal shows that are showing up to my other band's hardcore shows. Like everyone's sort of into it as long as it's good.
That's right. That's right, man. And of course, Resin Tomb. you've been smashing that out for a while, and mate, you've achieved a lot with that project too. Like you've done some kick-ass supports, and recently released a Cerebral Purgatory. Did I say that right at this time? No, yeah, of course I did. It's a good album.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good, man. Of course, how did that project come about? Because when was it? 2019, you guys got together?
Yes. Yes. Um, we used to play in a band called Siberian Hell Sounds together. I don't know if you might have seen that name around.
Yeah.
We yeah, we all played in that band, and then Resin Tomb was sort of just the next evolution where we took all the things that we'd learned from playing in bands for 10 years, and then we were like, well, we love black metal, we love grindcore, and we're kind of all hardcore kids at heart. So let's just put that into what we want to do. And if it goes well, then that's great. But if not, we're more or less just writing that music for ourselves. So the fact that we got to, yeah, press it onto vinyl even was like super special to us. That was really cool. Especially in a time where like we put the music out when no one was playing shows or it was like really difficult. So the fact that people took the time to listen to it and everything was really, really cool.
And you're playing with Ulcerate soon too, hey?
Yes. Yes. On the 2nd of August.
That's right. That's right. Fuck, man. That's gonna.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh,
that's really special to us as well. That's a band that, when we're writing, that's like, I'll do the Ulcerate riff. Like we're referencing them quite a bit. So that's another really special sort of thing to tick off the list for us as well.
man, they're so sick. I think a hole's gonna that night. A hole's gonna fucking open in the earth and just swallow everything up. It's gonna be so fucking heavy. Like, gonna be sick, man. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a rad night. That's
Yeah,
sick.
seeing them at the Triffid especially.
Yeah, yeah, man. Great venue, great sound. I mean, I saw you guys there with who was it? I'm trying to remember. Old Man Brain. Who did you play with?
We some friends of ours in a band called Munt were meant to play with Behemoth
That's
and their
right.
flight. Yeah. They're very sweet guys. Their flights got cancelled and they messaged us and said, "Hey, look, do you want to jump in?" And thankfully it was a weeknight, so all the dads were available in my band that we could do it. And yeah, that was a crazy moment. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, we opened for Behemoth at the last minute.
Yeah, that was sick. That was really
Yeah.
cool, man. That
You
was,
were at the show?
yeah, man. Yeah, I reviewed it. It was rad. Yeah,
Sick.
it was great. Yeah, I had a real good time. Work
No,
next
that
week isn't so good, but it was good.
no, that was super fun. It's scary on a big stage like that when you don't the crowd's there to see a very, very specific band. And then when you're coming out playing stuff that, is this too fruity for them? Are they gonna look at us funny? But people seem to like it. So
Yeah, they
that
got
was
it.
good.
They got it. They got it for sure. And of course, your other project as well, Descent. That's you're opening with Nile for Nile.
Yes. I think we're allowed to talk about that. It's
It's been announced.
yeah, yeah. So that's on the 17th of October. It's a little bit away yet, but yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Man, like I saw that and I was like, man, this gig's gonna be so fucking sick. Well, can't remember what the other band is playing as well, but it's gonna be a good night at the Bright Side, right?
I think they're called Carnal Viscera.
That's
What
it.
now?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I might need to double check that, but yeah, it's a band from Grindhead Records. So go check out their whole discography. It's one of
Yeah, they're
them.
good. Yeah, they're really good, man. No, it's gonna be that's gonna be a good one. But what's happening with that band outside of that support? You got more shows with that, or you're recording with Descent, or writing?
We've been a little bit slow to be honest. Our bass player had his first kid. Him and his partner moved, and
Hey,
they've had a kid a little while ago. So we consciously took some time off. It's an exciting time in his life. He's a new dad. Let him go enjoy that. When I'd be like, "Hey, bro, you coming to band practice?" So he's like enjoying family time. So we've talked about doing another EP. We've got some songs in the bank. We just need to jam them out and that sort of thing. But death metal takes time. It's not it's not as easy as writing a hardcore song, or sometimes you can write a grind or black metal song quickly because it does do what we were talking about before, where it's like this is the obvious way to make a grindcore song work, so let's do that. But with death metal, you can experiment and play things 12 different ways, so you gotta sort of trial and error a lot of them. And yeah, as much as I'd love to just churn out new death metal songs with that band, it does take time to get the recipe
Yeah,
balanced just right. Yeah.
yeah, you got to like it's like a smoker. You got to cook it just right. And to get the
Yeah.
meat, you know.
Yeah, you take it out too early and you're gonna get some sour looks. Yeah.
That's right. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. But
But
what?
yeah, we're still churning away. There's definitely action happening there. It's more just the gigs we've been getting asked to play are really special ones. So we're gonna just make sure we're focused and dialed in for that. Like we got asked to play with Gatecreeper early in the year. And I mean, if anyone's listened to Descent before, you can hear that's one of our they're like our HM2 brothers out there, you know. We're
Yeah.
all worshipping the same totem pole. So yeah, that was a really special one as well. So these kind of gigs we like we want to show up and do it justice and make sure we play our best. So it's sort of hard to write and jam for a show, rehearse properly, all in the one. It gets a bit draining. So I like to just be focused on the writing. Don't even play the set, you know? Turn up, write a song, just be dialed into that.
But that's the thing. You're in other projects as well, right? It's not just the
Yep.
two.
Yeah, they're the two that mainly play shows, as well as a hardcore band that I play in called Crossface.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
most of the other projects are all just sort of studio things that don't take up regular weekly maintenance per se.
How do you separate each project creatively or mentally for yourself? You know what I mean? Like I know they're like different genres and stuff like that, but when it comes to, writing the riffs, do you sort of just let whatever flows and then you go, okay, that's for Descent, or this is for Resin Tomb, or do you do it in sessions without me trashing my own studio?
That's a great question. I have done the latter before, where I'd written a song and its intention wasn't where it ended up. But generally, I have like a couple of sort of guidelines that I stick to. There's little restrictions, especially with Descent. Using a HM2 pedal, you can't really make a chord that has more than 3 notes in it. It just turns into mud.
Yep.
So that's a really good boundary to just be like, all right, power chords, palm mutes, tremming. There's a lot of other things I can do besides that. And then Resin Tomb is the opposite. So it's a lot of stacking notes on top of each other with chords, and that's a really good way that it stops me from doing something twice. But a lot of it is just bouncing ideas back and forth with my bandmates and sort of making sure I find out what it is they want out of this band and try to incorporate that. And if anything, set like a challenge for each song rather than just sit down and write a song. It could be anything. I find it a lot more fun to go, I'm going to write the song after the interlude in the middle of an album, track 7, you know? That's a tricky spot to balance right. You know, you don't want to have your hardest sitting song there, but you want to have something that's going to keep you wanting to listen. So I usually set out an intention before I build something because that can help a lot of the decision making process throughout.
And you've got another death metal project happening as well. Is it Moore's Formax? Formax?
Yeah, Morse Fornax is, I think it's Latin. I can't remember what it means right now. I'd have to ask Mark. I think it might be Death Furnace or something like that. But yeah, that was a project. Mark and I were just bonding over Dead Congregation and do a few different Death Doom bands, and he sort of encouraged me to write some riffs, and then it turned into a whole EP worth or demo worth of stuff. And that was just meant to be demos, but once I found out the studio was going to be no more, I figured, well, might as well mix these the best I can while I'm here and piece it all together. But that's almost a year old now. It's only just coming out. So that's one of the projects, as I was saying before, it's sort of nostalgic just in the fact that we did it all at the old studio there, and a lot of late nights with Mark and his shirt off, just sweating, doing vocal takes, screaming in the middle of the big room. So yeah, some good memories there.
Mate. And of course, you're putting on another let me start that again. I'm having a mental blank here. Rewind. I have to do this at least one time and everything. Of course, Coldane Brisbane, number two, the sequel. That's coming up, man. And what a fucking lineup, bro. Like you got like what 50 lines, Justice for the Damned, the Matador,
Yes.
like, and that's only like three bands out of like. So,
Yeah.
man,
Just to I've, just to rattle them off quickly. 50 lines, Justice for the Damned, Diploid from Melbourne,
hmm.
Threshold, newer hardcore band, Aglo, if you've aware of it's Aaron Osborne's like Death Doom band. Um, most of the lyrics are based around like Star Trek stuff, so super nerdy, but I love it. It's right up my alley. And then Burial Pit, Run, like you said, the Matador,
Hmm.
Hope Drone, which is a Brizzy band, they're locals, and then the first hardcore slot of the day, sort of like uh Dream Inertia, Mud, Cold Blood, Burn in Hell from Sydney, and then Scorn. And who have I forgot? Phantoms, and there's one more. Oh, Resin Tomb. Yeah.
Oh, you're you're like, and us, yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's a solid lineup.
Yeah.
And last year, it's would it sell out? I didn't get to make it, but Jackson from Van went and he's like, that was one of the best fucking festivals like
Oh,
I've
really?
ever been to. Man, he was stoked on it. Yeah, he was like everyone came out in force and said it was like a really good show and it was
Oh,
really
that's a
well run. Yeah, so that's some good feedback for you. But not just him, other people have said it too, man. You know what you're doing.
cheers, mate. um, that's uh it's a project I can't take all the credit. I do it with another guy. His name's Adam. He runs Team Glasses Records.
Yep.
So we sort of delegate. He's really good at certain things, and then I've got knowledge in other areas. So it works out if he handles a lot of the sort of logistic stuff and organizing the merch crew and helping out organize the sponsors, and he actually booked 50 lions. And then I like to handle the back line and the set list, set times, and just like making everything run like clockwork up on the stage. I've been to Japan and I've seen the way their shows run just like to the second,
Yep.
perfect every night. So I'm like, well, there's no reason why we can't do that. It's only 20-minute sets, 20-minute changeover, 20-minute set all day, same formula. So simple. I try to just streamline it like a little bit more of a hardcore fest mentality where everyone will share the same back line. So it's an even playing field. Just come up, play your hardest 20-minute songs, and then on to the next one. And just keep rattling them out. So I, I've been to fests where you get a sore back and you're just standing in the same place. And
Yeah.
sometimes the 40-minute death metal set is just too much for some people. So I was like, well, if we go back to back and have a bunch of bands that might stir up some violence at the start of the day, ease the gas off a little bit with some creative stuff, and then go hard in the evening and pace it out, it might not seem so brutal. Maybe save some pain in the back. You can go sit down every 20 minutes if you want.
At least there's beers to help ease that. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have the yeah. It's gonna be good, man. So I mean, looking to the future for the festival, have you got like a dream lineup or a dream sort of headliner that you'd like? Man, those dudes. What's on the hit list?
I'll use this as a an opportunity to manifest.
Yeah, man, do it.
I would really like to book the Red Shore. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
I I I feel like there's a lot of history with that band. They haven't played for a long time, and in the same way, hardcore's come back. They used to play with a lot of hardcore bands and everything. So
Yes.
the bands that they're playing with are coming back, and I know they'd booked some shows in Melbourne that never eventuated. And I've watched the videos of them playing Invasion Fest over and over, and I love those songs of the Avarice of Man and all Garden of Impurity. Like yeah, I'm a big fan. So that's a goal of mine. Um, and then I mean, obviously, down the road one day, if we could afford it, it would be nice to maybe graduate to booking some international bands as well, but there's a lot more risk and a lot more responsibility involved with that. So if I can just prove to myself and everyone that I know how to do a decent fest, and then maybe it'll make more sense to take a risk like that. But I don't know. I like to just really nail something before I bite off more than I can chew. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's somewhat, that could be doable, dude. Man, everybody that's watching this, when it's not live at the moment, when they do, tag those dudes down there and say, do it. Sure, tag those dudes. Let's
Yeah.
drag them up. Let's do it.
I mean, I'm not sure if you're a fan of Hardlaw or not. Do you ever watch their podcast?
No, 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 no.
Okay, it's the drummer from God's Hate and the guitarist from Harm's Way.
Okay. Yeah.
They usually just shoot the shit and talk about their favorite hardcore bands and things like that. But they've started doing their podcast live, and I find them really funny. So like maybe one day in the future it'd be worth trying to book them and be able to do a hardcore fest, but also do like a hardcore live incorporated with it. But again, just manifesting.
Hey man, that's how it works. That's exactly how it works. You just gotta, put it out there in the universe and speak it in it. Someone will pick it up,
Yeah.
That's
I've got
it.
too many to be able to like now you've just triggered something in my brain. I'm rattling off like it'd be cool to book Ulcerate. It'd be cool to book Artificial Brain. I've got like a billion favorite bands. So yeah, that would open a can of worms that might require hiring some extra staff.
Hey man,
it's just two of us at the moment, but yeah.
It's like that. If you build it, they'll come.
Hey, yeah.
You've done it once, you're gonna do it twice. There you go.
I was always really impressed with New Dead Fest. Did you ever go to New Dead Fest in Adelaide?
Yeah, man, played it once. It was the best.
Yeah. Jason does a really good job. Everything runs super professionally. And I was just really impressed when I went there, and he had the back-to-back stages. One band starts. As soon as they're ready, this guy's setting up in the meantime, and then bang, the changeover is instant. Another band just continues playing. Like that's really cool. I know we can't do that at the Triffid, but yeah, that's what inspired me to really like pull the trigger on this, because the idea had been there for years, and I know there was like the dead of winter. There was a lot of other fests, like Downwave doesn't happen anymore. There's what was the other one? Total Attack. No one does that one anymore. So there was a void there that had to be filled. I guess we were the first ones to give it a crack. I'm stoked Ken's doing Necrosonic Fest. That's going to be great.
Yes.
That line awesome as well. Shout out, Ken.
Yeah, good dude. I can't wait, man. That's going to be, that's our, because we're doing our little run down south, and that's kind of like where we finish.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like the road to Necrosonic. So that's a show we're going to be playing, and it's like, I can't wait, man. Like so many mates on that bill. What's that?
No Sleep Till Mansfield.
Oh, that's a good. Oh, we need that on a shirt. Like I'll have to foods, which we won't. But we're running out of time thanks to Zoom. I hate how it does that. But is there anything you'd like to mention that you've got coming up, or anything you'd like to spruik?
If anyone wants to catch a show, I got a couple of shows here. We're obviously Cold Day is the 13th of July at the Triffid. Tickets are available for that through Oztix. We're playing with Ulcerate on the 2nd of August at the Triffid again. And the day after that, if you're in Adelaide, we're playing Southern Death Metal, which is a fest held at the Lions Arts Centre. The lineup for that's insane as well. Resin Tomb is headlining, I think. They're one of my personal favorite bands, so I'm going to be very happy that day. Crossface is opening for Full of Hell on the 14th of September. I think I can mention this one. Do you know when this episode's coming out?
It'll be like late next week.
Okay, yeah. Descent's going to play a show opening for Killswitch Engage on the 8th of September on the Gold Coast. And then on the 17th of October, we're playing Descent again is playing with Nile, and that's at the Bright Side. So, yeah, that's a very busy end of the year. And then go back into the recording stage for Resin Tomb from then on. So yeah, busy
awesome.
today, busy tomorrow, and just keep on rolling.
That's awesome, man. But dude, thanks so much for hanging out on the show. It's been really good to have you finally. And next time we'll do it in person, maybe at the studio, have a beer. But in the meantime, take care, dude. I'll have all the links to everything down here, and keep rocking in the free world.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate your time.
Get on, I'm gonna water. Yeah, man. All right. See you soon, bro.
Peace, mate.